This program has and always will be built on core values. These values have always been the foundation of our program. We all have made mistakes or bad choices in our lives, but somehow, some way, we were given another chance. I believe a worthy goal in life is to make a difference in someone's life who can have a positive impact on others. We've always done, and we will always continue to do things the cardinal way. Accountability and responsibility are so key to the development of any player. I understand this is a big one. Michael has admitted to mistakes in the past, whether it's due to immaturity or bad choices. I can't change his past, but only hope to help build on his future. I'm not a miracle worker, but my staff has spent most of our lives helping young people mature and grow into young men. I hope the Louisville community will back me in giving Michael another chance. People deserve second chances. We have a system in place, a system that has been successful. Darius Ashley, young man who had 2 DUIs, never took his scholarship. He ends up graduating. Not only did he graduate, also went to graduate school, an MBA, with over a 3.0 grade point average. Brandon Heath, Johnny Patrick, just a couple of more guys that have had issues in this program, but we have went on and graduate with out of this great university with a degree. Our graduation rate is improving. Our APR is getting better and better. Our GPA continues to rise. I can remember in the spring of 10, we lost 3 scholarships to APR at an 869. Now that 3 years later, we're over a 970 with our APR. Michael Dyer will sign a behavioral contract. There will be 0 tolerance, but I will give him every opportunity to be successful. It goes without saying, this team, along with just coaching staff, is totally focused. Our team has worked extremely hard over the summer. I love our drive. I love our motivation. I love our determination. We're finally reaching a level with our attitude that we can go compete with anyone on any level. Teddy, Calvin Pryor, Hakeem Smith, Brandon Dunn, Roy Fallon, Marcus Smith, Cope, Preston Brown, just some of the players that are emerging as leaders. After a summer filled with negative headlines in so many sports, seeing Teddy on ESPN was a breath of fresh air. He is what all of us want our athletes to be. The expectations of this football team this year is really high for us. We have to manage our expectations. If you look at us on offense, there's a lot of answers. Our offensive line, when you look at Brown, Smith, Joyer, Miller, Garcia, Mack, some of the guys, we don't know just yet with that offensive line, but we had to have a core guys to step up because that's going to be the strength of our team. At running back, with Brown, with Sonoris Perry coming back from a knee, Corbin Lamb, Brandon Radcliffe. You have 4 solid running backs that you feel really comfortable with. Now it's all about us now just making sure the offensive line that we can block for those 4 running backs. The wide receivers will probably be the strength of our position, strength of our offense. When you look at Devontae Parker, when you look at Cope, you look at Eli Rogers, the addition of Clark, you have enough players at wide receivers, guys that are playmakers and guys that have made plays for us. The tight end position, you go with B.J. Butler, guy we took from defense last year to move to offense. Jalen Harrington. Now with the addition, with Gerald Christian coming into that tight end position for us, and Hubble, you have 4 solid tight ends. And the quarterback position, we just got to find us a backup. But we feel pretty strong with our offense. Going to the defensive side of the ball, we know this. We're going to have to play better defense than what we played last year. You know, there were some games there that we had to take the ball on offense and where we're really comfortable with it, but we had to take the ball and go score because we didn't make the stops on defense that we should have made. But it all starts in the middle. You know, right now we're down with Brooks. We're down with D'Angelo Brown at the nose guard position. But at the linebacker position, you have Preston Brown, who is a solid force in the middle. Backed up right behind him at the free safety position is Calvin Pryor. The defensive ends, you have Malden, you have Smith, you have Mount. Inside, you have Phylon, you have Brandon Dunn. So we have enough players inside. We have a good core defensive lineman. Now it's about us just moving them around and having to replace those guys early in the season and hoping they can get back late to help us go make a run. And at the defensive back position, the cornerback position, we took gains from wide receiver, moved him back to defensive back. You got Johnson at corner. You got T. Floyd at corner. You have Parnell at corner. But the thing about it, and I made a point, I was sitting there and I'm looking at our field corner. We have 4 players at our field corner that are scholarship players. So we're beginning to add depth in our both on offense and on defense just because of the way we have recruited. But do you know what's going to be key for us this year? Can this team stay focused? Can this team get prepared each and every week to go play at a high level and where we can go be the best on that day? And that's what's going to be critical for this football team.
Sharp, is Dyer already here and will he participate tomorrow?
Dyer is here. Dyer arrived on Sunday, and he's got to go through with the training room and go through the physical, and once all that's done, he'll be able to get on the field.
How much can you expect out of him being such a newcomer, having the spring ball just arrived? I mean, how early can you expect him to maybe help you?
Well, that's going to be how well he gets out there and how he's going to be able to pick up the offense. And, everything's going to be new to him. And you think about it, this is going to be a totally new system. So it's going to be just his development. How long? And we're going to be able to bring him along just because with our coaches, we'll be able to bring him along good.
Did you contact him about coming here, or did he contact you for the opportunity?
No, Fitz Hill is the president of Arkansas Baptist, and Fitz and I are really good friends. And so Fitz, when Dyer left, he enrolled there at Arkansas Baptist. So Fitz, he was getting to the end where he's going to graduate. So Fitz called me and says, hey, listen, I got a young man here that I think you may be interested in, and I would like, I've been working with him, and I think he'll be a great addition to your program, but I want you first to meet him. And he never said his name in the beginning because I'm trying to figure out who he was. And I said, well, Fitz, you're going to tell me who it is? He said, no, because I just don't, right now, I just want a chance for you to get on the phone with him. And then once you have the conversation, I'm going to tell you who he is. But just through Fitz Hill, I was able to get that for us to be able to talk.
Down there, or he came up here? How did
he came here. No, I did not go there. He came here. He came here I'd probably say June. West End, July 20th. Yes.
Obviously, he was at Auburn, and then he got suspended and left on his own. He went to Arkansas State and was dismissed from the team. Why do you think he'll be able to make it work for him when it didn't work elsewhere?
I just feel like this, Rick, and it depends on just relationships, and it depends on, I think about my first year here, and people talk about we have core values, and core values are the foundation of this football team. They would never change, and I would never change. And if I was going to judge everyone just on core values, then I wouldn't have had my first year here. I wouldn't have had no football team. I wouldn't have had a football team because I would have went in there just and plus I'm not one of those coaches that are into just making sure that I go in and just try to run every player off. I want to make sure that I can change players' lives, and I know this that just because of my coaching staff and just how disciplined, with the way we talk about being disciplined and being a disciplined football team, I can accomplish that.
Coach, you're Sugar Bowl champs. You got a legitimate Heisman Trophy candidate. High expectations. 10 minutes into our press conference, we only talked about a player who has never been in the program, never won a uniform. How have you had any dialogue with your current players, the guys who have been here, about this, and how do you deal with that?
Anytime you talk about adding a new player to a team, you either add or delete. But I'm gonna get with my players, and that's why you get with the Teddies, you get with the Calvin Pryors, you get with the Preston Browns, and you get the player around him. So when he came here on his visit, he was able to sit down with those guys, and then so the conversation. So they had conversation also, and once everyone met and detailed and just talked it out. Then I went to him and I said, Teddy, what do you think? And he said, Coach, I think he'll be okay. And then I asked the next guy, I said, what do you think? And because I didn't want to bring someone into this program because of what we have coming back that I thought would be a distraction, and I didn't want that to be a distraction for this football team.
History says he can run, but he block. We don't want Teddy on his back.
No, Teddy will not get hit. That's from anyone, from him, the offensive lineman. We don't want Teddy to get touched. But we will get a chance. I think we have a good enough coach who can teach him how to block.
So when you were talking to him, how quickly were you maybe convinced, or at what point were you convinced, that this has a chance to work, we might want to take a chance?
Well, it took a while now, because when you talk about a player and you see his issues, it takes a while. You just don't get locked in and get focused right away, and it takes some time. And for me, it took me a while to just really put it all together, because I didn't want to bring a young man in this program with what we already have built and be afraid that he's going to tear that down. But I'm not worried about that.
Did he talk to Tom and or Dr. Ramsey, or was it just with you?
I had a chance to, I spoke with Tom first about it, and we went into detail, and I just told him what we were thinking about, and then Tom had a chance to sit down with him, with Dyer himself.
How about Dr. Ramsey?
No, with Dr. Ramsey. I think they have enough confidence, and Dr. Ramsey has enough confidence in Tom and myself to make sure that we can make the right choices. We're not going to bring someone into this program where we embarrass this university.
You mentioned a behavior. What's in the behavior contract?
Well, that's just something between Michael and myself, but it's a pretty, the way I write up that contract, and I write it up for any player. If I have a player with issues, then I write that contract up for them also.
Is it actually a thing he signs and agrees to do, or is it just a verbal thing?
No. He's going to sign it. His name is on it. The position coach name is on it, and my name is on it as well.
On a somewhat related note, what is Sonoris Perry 100% going into camp?
Sonoris will come into camp when we practice on tomorrow. I don't think he's right at 100%, but he's going to practice, and then each day we're just going to have to manage him. Anytime we go 2 days, he probably can't go and practice 2. He's going to have to practice 1, but he'll be out when we start camp.
Will he be no contact at first then?
Oh, yes, we're going to try to protect him as much as possible.
Did you talk to Coach Chiswick, Coach Malzahn, any of those people that coached him in the past?
I talked to Coach Malzahn, and him and I had a conversation about him. And the reason why Gus recruited him. So
He gave him positive reports?
he gave him outstanding reports.
Is part of your comfort in taking this step, your comfort with Kenny Carter and his ability to manage?
Well, not only Kenny, but just our whole coaching staff. And if you look at it, we have very few issues in this program, and I just feel like with our coaching staff that whomever we bring into this program, whether it be Michael Dyer, anyone else, that we can manage it. And we can manage the attitudes of young people, and it's all the young people looking for discipline. If you can discipline a young man and show him that you care about him, then I think you have a chance.
Have you watched video of him? When he's at his best, what can he do for your team?
Well, I really had, it's just like, I saw the national championship game. That's probably the only time I ever watched him, because, you think about the season, it's more about Cam Newton than him. And then the next season, he had a chance to run. But, you're looking at a player who has outstanding ability.
Charlie, how important was his year or his time with Fitzhill in kind of reshaping where he wanted to go?
Well, just, knowing Fitz and just knowing his character and Fitz feeling as strong as he does about the young man. I sat down with Fitz because we had a lot of conversations about him. And I said, well, you sure, Fitz, that he's changed and you feel that good about him? And he said, Charlie, I will put my stamp on him. And he said, you're probably, to Fitz credit, he said, probably the only program probably can handle him is your program, which says a lot about this program.
You mentioned Teddy going on ESPN. Have you had a chance to talk to him since then and kind of decompress from what that experience was like for him? Did he like it? Did he not like it?
Well, it wasn't. I think he loved it, but it was great just for this university and just for our program and our coverage, just to see Teddy. And like I said, it was just a breath of fresh air that you hear as a positive role model sent on national TV. And what was amazing is that you got calls from all across the country talking about as your quarterback, and I can remember his high school coach called me and he said, you guys have done so much for him, but Teddy's done it himself also.
His first two questions right there on ESPN were about a quarterback at another school. Is that fair to Teddy? I mean, essentially, they bring him on his first two questions about Manziel.
Well, you know how you reporters are, you always think of something.
Is that going to be a reasonable thing?
I don't know, you know, I think Teddy did a great job of handling it.
Coach, have you slotted your offensive lineman in a position, or are you waiting to see how that plays out in preseason practice?
Well, Jamon would still be the right tackle. Then, right now, we don't know what the center position is, either Jake or Jordan. So Jake can play center, and Jordan also can play center, but Miller's going to stay the same in Garcia. So it's really at the center position. It's just so if Jake plays center, then Jordan's going to play the guard position. If Jordan's at guard, then Jake will play the center position. So those are the two that we can move around.
Sean, when you look at the offense, and Sean had talked a couple weeks ago about the amount of weapons and the depth that you guys have built. Now, the challenge is keeping everybody happy, right? I mean, when you get depth built, it's to keep everybody happy and involved.
Well, you had to talk about just being a team, and that's what we always want to stress, that we're a team, and it's not about you. And I have a shirt. It's all about us. It's about us, not only on offense, defense, kicking game, but guys do want the ball. If you're a competitor, you want the ball, but they have to understand first the decision is going to be made for the team, and the team first, and then the individual next.
You said last week you didn't ever want winning to become drudgery. You always wanted to enjoy winning, and yet you also said there's going to be times your team isn't going to like you very much. How do you kind of work that balance?
Well, you know what happens when you get the expectations that we have built right now, and when you start off the season, you would like for guys to realize, just go win the football. Go play your best, and let's go win the football game. And if it isn't good enough, who's to say it isn't good enough? A lot of people may say, hey, you should have beat that team by 30, but I want them to enjoy winning, and I want them to have fun. And this is going to be one of those years, because if you think about it, I think it's the first time we've been ranked this high in preseason ranking, but everything is falling in place. But you'd rather be ranked where we are than if someone say you're not going to go win any football games also, which that was our case the first year we were here. But it's, these guys have came a long ways, but I just want them to enjoy this time here and make sure that we continue to work. I just don't want them to get complacent. I don't want them to get self-absorbed, get cocky, and just lose respect for the opponent, lose respect for the game.
You're so veteran and deep. How do you feel like they're going to fit in? Is it any of them got a chance, and what position would they have a shot?
Well, it's so hard to say what position, because if a freshman come in here and ends up playing, he just outworked the upperclassman, and that's the upperclassman's fault. But we have built it through recruiting, and it's good that you're in this position, that you're not counting on. You're looking at a position saying, hey, you got to wait for that freshman to get here to really solidify it. But we don't have to do it now. We just feel like you do have enough guys in place. But for what position, I wouldn't know, because it's all about competing now.
Does that make it tougher to recruit for you because you have such depth, which is a nice thing to have, but on the other hand?
Well, you think about those elite programs that are able to recruit every year, and they have more depth than what we have. So you like to build it like that, because you look at those programs, and they don't ever take a back seat, and every year they are ranked very high in recruiting. So that's where we like to keep it, and we like to continue to recruit.
Charlie, Michael Lee Harris said earlier this summer that he felt like some of these incoming freshmen were more advanced than even when he came in as a freshman. Have you found that to be the case, just with their preparation beforehand?
Well, I think that what's really helping freshmen now just learn more about the game. Or they're getting here in the summer. So they're getting here in the summer, so they're able to get around our players, plus they're able to get in the film room and watch film, and they're able to learn from the older players. And probably when Michael Lee, you think about it, when that group of guys came through, that was kind of our first class. So there was no one here to teach them. But now with Michael Lee and them being here, they can teach the freshmen how to do things.
Michael Lee, will he be out there tomorrow, or is he close to being Michael Lee?
He's close to being Michael Lee. It's going to be a confidence factor with him.
What kind of shape is Michael Dyer right now, do you know?
Oh, I have no idea. We ain't had a chance to see him at all.
Do you have to handle things different? I mean, every other season you guys were the hunters. This year, obviously, you guys are the hunted. Do you handle things a little different?
Well, I always like to think that we are the hunters, and I don't want every one of our guys to not think when you become the hunted, it feel like you have arrived and you stop growing. But I want to say, guys, we're the hunters, and we will continue to get better each and every week. We have not arrived. We're still that same team that we have to strive to get better. It's all about fundamentals. It's all about, each and every day that you're trying to take your game to the next level. But I don't ever want us to think that we have arrived.
Are there any freshmen who aren't going to make it to campus?
Right now, the only freshman we're waiting on is Chucky. So he's the only one that was not here this summer, but everyone else is here. Elam, yes.
What are your thoughts on the schedule?
I'd look at that schedule, and I think there's some really good teams on that schedule, and I don't think we have a chance to overlook anyone. And you know what you have to think about a lot of times is we're 4 years into it, and let's not ever think that we're above anyone and that we're better than anyone on that schedule. And that's what we had to address the team with, because if they listen to everyone else is going to say, hey, y'all should run the table. You look at your schedule, but that's not always the case. Look at what happened last year. We thought the same thing. You go into Syracuse and you got slapped around pretty good, and you come back at home against Connecticut and you lose a ball game. But I don't think you can ever start feeling good about a schedule. But you don't ever want to look ahead either. It's still one game at a time. Hey, let's get ready to go play the first game and the next one after that and the next one after that. Don't look down. Hey, let's not look down the road.
You said that when Dyer came in to visit, he met with Teddy and Calvin, some other folks. Were there any conversations that took place with either through him or through the coaching staff with your core group of running backs? What's their response been to a guy coming in like this?
Well, what's very fortunate for us is that all our upperclassmen live over in Cardinaltown, so all those guys were around with the running backs with Sonoris, and they all had a chance to meet him.
And in talking with them about bringing in a new player, what was their response?
Well, all those guys they're competitors, so they don't mind it at all because they know they have to compete for the position. And they know it, and it only makes if it makes the team better, it makes them better. Then welcome it.
Coach, when you look back on your decision to stay here at Louisville, how much ultimately did getting into the ACC make you want to stay here?
Well, and that's when you got into the ACC, then it just opened up avenues for recruiting, and then the bigger picture happened for you. And that was what's great about getting into the ACC, and Tom did a great job of working on him and President Ramsey. But it's great for the whole university and the whole city because now you're at that level where it's, you think about those teams, not that I want to look ahead to the ACC because we got to get through this season, but we'll get that step next year. But it's been great.
You're giving him a great opportunity. When you sat down and talked with him, what did he tell you that convinced you to give him the opportunity?
He had a chance that, the defensive back there was at LSU, Honey Badger. He could have opted to go early also in the draft. And he said, Coach, I just want to clear my name, and I want to show people really what type of person I am. And I said, well, if that's who you are, and if you're going to be given an opportunity, will you take advantage of that opportunity? And he said, I'd do anything to take advantage of that opportunity. I said, well, let me think about it. And I didn't give him no answer right then. I said, let me think about it. And then and we had some conversations. We had some phone conversations back and forth. And I said that, I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to offer you a scholarship here. I'm not going to bring you here. But if you're looking to change your life, then I can see if I can help you. But I don't want to look at your past. I just see what we'll move forward and see what's in front of us.
What way do you want to help him? What are you going to do? How are you going to change it?
Well, when you talk about with a lot of young men, they had just growing up. You think about how some of them were raised, and some of them was raised no different than we were. But you feel like that if I could be able to impact and influence on his life in a positive way, then maybe I can change his future and change just how he sees things. Because a lot of times when you weren't raised like that, then it's all about you. And then you don't really care about anyone else because you're going to always make it about you. But when you see that there's more than just you and there's other people that can help you, take advantage of people trying to help you. He has a uncle who is a sergeant in the police on the police force in Little Rock. His uncle, Andre Dyer, he's a sergeant, and I had a lot of conversations with him. Because I told him, I said, now you deal with these type of kids every day, and I just sitting down with him, I didn't think that he was just a bad person. Because if I had thought that, I would have never brought him here. But I just said, here's a young man that I feel like we can change and help.
I suppose you didn't have to give him a scholarship, what made you want to give him a scholarship?
No, I didn't have to give him a scholarship, but you're sitting there, and if you want the guy to be a part of your program and really, and make him feel like he is, like when you bring him in, that he's a part of your program, and then you're accepting him into your program, and I felt like we had to give him a scholarship.
In the last year, you built up equity in the program, winning a BCS Bowl, choosing to stay in this community. Do you think that if you hadn't had the year that you've had in the past year, that you would have either had the confidence or would have made this choice to bring in a player like this?
No, it's, when you look at a lot of players, and I do this a lot of times, I look at the players that sit in these chairs here and think about their backgrounds, and they all come from, not all of them come from really solid backgrounds, but that decision, I was probably, I'm not saying what I would have said, if I hadn't won that bowl game, because who knows if I ever even had an opportunity to, he may not even look this way either. But we would have sat down as a staff. Any decision I make is I'm going to sit down with the staff, but at the end of the day, I'm going to end up making it. But it wears on you now. They're not easy decisions.
How far back do you and Fitz live?
Yeah, Fitz grew up in Arkadelphia, and I grew up in Batesville, but, he was at Arkansas as an assistant, then he went to San Jose as a head coach, but we go back many, many years.
This kind of has nothing to do with that, but did you consult with him? I mean, being that he was a head coach, getting that opportunity back then when he was black coaches, got that opportunity. Did you consult with him at all before you came here or after you got in?
Yes, Fitz. It's so funny to say. Fitz used to be one of those numbers guy, and he could always he would always bring up numbers where you talk about the head coaches and coordinators. But he is a really outstanding person, and I spoke with him on numerous occasions. But he is solid, and the only thing Fitz wants is what's best for any young player.
Coach, is there an update with Coach Hurt?
No, it is not. I think that what we're waiting on now, I don't know when that decision is going to come down, but we're going to sit down, Tom and I, and Coach Hurt, and talk.
You're coaching D-line then?
I'm coaching D-line. What about that? Well,
Have you done that before?
I've done that before. Heck, I had some really good players too, but I didn't have to coach much. No, I guess. No, I just think that we were just trying to just wait on the decision and just see where we are with it. And really, no one knows. And then if it just continues to go on, then the three of us will sit down.
You don't plan to coach D-line all the whole season?
Oh, I don't think I can. Well, it's just tough trying to run a football team and then go and coach the D-line, because now you're in the meetings with the D-line and then you have other things going on. Then you get pulled from the media, so you have a lot going on.
When the players report tonight, what happens? They check into a hotel, they give up their keys, what all is that process?
Yeah, we really can't meet with them, but they check in the hotel, so they go to the hotel and get checked in, and then tomorrow morning will be our first meeting with them.
What kind of restrictions are they on during camp? No cell phones, or no keys, or what do they do?
No, they have their cell phones, but they can't drive. We have vans outside that we take them everywhere where they need to go.
Everybody talks about Teddy and Heisman and all that stuff, but behind him, how much uncertainty is behind him? I think Sean mentioned that you guys feel like maybe Will Gardner is the guy, or is that not even set?
Well, you like to think because of the work that Will put in the spring that he is the backup, but we still have some work to do at that backup position, because you think about it, there's not a player not even played in a game last year, because it was only Stein and Teddy. So it's there you go Brent Nelson and you go Will. So it's we would like to get them a lot of work here during this preseason camp. They're gonna get a lot of work.
Is Kyle Bolin okay? Will he, his knees, is he fine?
Yes, and it's same thing, just like Sonora said, you just got to watch his knee, but he'll be back, and it'll be, we just make sure that we protect guys and stay up. And we still had to learn how to practice and make sure we don't hit guys in a vulnerable position, but we have to practice well also.
Is this a day as a staff you guys are extra excited running out?
Well, we've been in since, I think we came back off a vacation last week, so guys have kind of been excited since then, just wanting to get started.
Coach, you talked about how a freshman coming in would have to beat out the players with experience, and you also talk about a wide receiver is your deepest position, and it's also the spot where you're most heralded freshman. I'm assuming James Quick will be good enough to play, and do you all, in terms of setting up sets, change some of your offensive sets to have them for as many receivers as you've got?
Well, really, when you're talking about like a guy like Quick, skilled guys, it's easier for them to play because they can get on the field quicker because it's all athletic ability for them. You know, linemen is tougher because now when you talk about an offensive lineman or defensive lineman, if they're going against a guy who's been in your program 4 or 5 years, he should be bigger, stronger, and should be able to just dominate him at the line of scrimmage. But skilled guys, it's all about you just using athletic ability, make a guy miscatch the ball and use your speed and quickness. But Quick will be given every opportunity to compete. If you look at it, we play a lot of 4 wide receivers, so it's with us playing 4 wide receivers, we'll give him a chance to get on the field. All right, thanks.